Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Pets Add Life. I am Chris Bonifati, joined as always by the talented and thoughtful Kristen Levine. Kristen, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. We have been busy. We've been on the road, traveling to different events, so I'm excited to hear about your travels.
Yes, we have been. We've done all sorts of cool stuff, and then you may notice the studio change. It's because now I'm snowed in. So we've been everywhere, and now I'm back home, stuck at home. So a nice little cozy episode. Me, my corgi pillow, and if we're lucky, Tiger will show up, but my wife's home too, so she prefers to spend time with her, and I'm the stinky cheese who stands alone.
Let's see the corgi. Show the corgi pillow.
Yeah,
it's really
the corgi
cute.
Pillow. We don't have a dog. We have this pillow, which is a lot less responsibility. a lot less responsibility. But yeah, we're still gonna stick to the script a little bit, but yeah, it's a bit of a special episode with us having been to some events, but we still have 2 stories for y'all. We still have 2 products. We're still gonna answer 2 questions, but the guest segment is gonna be a little different, and I don't want to spoil too much. You're gonna have to stick around to find out more.
Kristen and Chris present Story Time.
All right, Chris, it is story time.
Story
Would you
time.
Like to go first? Go first. With your
Sure.
story?
Yeah, I have a fun little story. This is a fun little one. Nothing groundbreaking. Nothing too heavy. But there's been a lot of snow across the United States, and in some places that never really get snow. So I saw this really fun story about the Houston Zoo. They got snow, which is why not a lot.
Oh, cool.
Like an inch and a half, it looks like. And I've got a link here in the show notes because there's a video, and you gotta watch it,
cool.
people. You gotta watch it because there are elephants playing in the snow. Which I mean,
oh my gosh, I can't
you can't
wait.
see that because even if you have a zoo, like the Bronx Zoo doesn't have, and New York doesn't have elephants. It gets too cold that part of the year. So where they keep elephants, it's all going to be the warmer weather ones. So these are animals who do not get to interact with snow. So it's just a fun. I think they got like a 46-second video here on NBC, but there's all sorts of clips that you could see. I just think like it was so adorable. I had to share it with everybody. But for those of you who live in the South and you may be experiencing snow for the first time, just stay home. You're not ready for it. Just stay home. I've seen the videos of like Georgia getting snow and the car pileups and things like that. Just stay home. You don't know what you're doing.
Nope.
You're not a Connecticuter.
And no one's gonna question you staying home either. So
yeah, well, some people
safe.
might, but I won't. We won't. Not here at Pets Add Life. We got your back. Stay home. Make yourself some cocoa. Throw a couple logs on the fire. And enjoy it because it is a rare occasion.
Yeah.
But stay safe. First and foremost, stay safe. All right, Kristen, what do you got for your story today?
Okay. Well, mine's not a snowy fun story, but it's kind of interesting. This is about a trend that is really picking up steam. Now, this is about supplements. And if I think back to maybe 15 years ago, if you asked me about pet supplements, the only thing I would know about would be the glucosamine and chondroitin for joint health, right? Well, there's been an explosion of pet supplements, which I think we all know. If you're listening to the show, you're probably familiar with the supplement market in the pet industry is pretty huge. And I came across a story that talked about why it's actually picking up steam. So currently, about a third of dog and cat owners give their pets supplements. And the demand particularly increased during the pandemic when preventative health became more of a focus, not only for ourselves, but also for our pets. And as you probably know, pet trends are typically trends that were in the human world that, maybe a year or 2 or 3 years later became popular for pets too, because what's good for us is good for our pets. But a few other things that are driving this surge in pet supplement is rising veterinary costs and limited appointment availability. better educated pet parents that understand the value of those early interventions, and really just a focus on overall wellness. So I thought I'd run through a couple of the cost-saving benefits of supplements.
Ooh, give it to me.
Yeah. So giving your pet a regular joint supplement might, I'm going to say might, won't definitely, but might help avoid expensive mobility surgeries or delay those surgeries. Also might keep your pet more comfortable longer. Dental supplements can reduce plaque and tartar buildup, so maybe delaying the frequency of those dental cleanings. Digestive supplements can help prevent emergency GI issues, which we had with Tulip a couple of months ago. Very costly GI visit. So while supplements are obviously a great preventative measure, they don't replace your veterinarian, but I think it's really great news to hear that more and more people are starting to give their pet supplements and recognizing that they can help to avoid certain issues and save money possibly on vet care.
Yeah, that preventative care is huge. It's huge. Especially the dental stuff is just, here's the thing. In nature, these animals weren't meant to live this long. It's just the way, it's not the way the animal kingdom meant to shake out. So their teeth didn't need to last 10, 12 years. But you want your dog to stick around, and as they stick around, you want them to be healthy and happy and comfortable. So it's up to you as the pet parent to do what nature cannot and give them all of this awesome stuff that's going to help keep their body in tip-top shape. So definitely recommend it.
That's right.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and
So,
professionalism.
Chris, you just came back from the 149th anniversary show of the Westminster Dog Show. How was it?
It was amazing. It was quite the experience. It is always such a pleasure to be surrounded by such passionate dog people. It's insane. I got to talk to a lot of awesome people. We even captured some of that on camera. So I think we're just going to go ahead, jump on in and see what Chris's day and Chris Takes on Manhattan and the Westminster Dog Show. It's like Sex and the City, but better.
God.
All right, we're here at the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, the Super Bowl of dogs, or the big game of dogs. The big game of dogs. Please don't sue me, NFL. And I'm joined by Dr. Jai Diggs and Dr. Callie Harris, who have some illustrious titles in the veterinarian industry. Dr. Diggs is the resident vet of the Westminster Kennel Club, and Dr. Harris is the senior vet communications manager with Purina. Wow.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, wow, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for taking
We've come
time.
a long way.
Yeah.
You have, yeah. And speaking of coming a long way, I was doing research, I know, Chris doing research, and I saw you guys both went to Tuskegee University. That's amazing.
Yes, it is amazing.
Yes. Let's talk about our past a little bit. Jai, Trayton,
Right, yeah.
however you guys know him as, but the two of us came from the illustrious Tuskegee University, then School of Veterinary Medicine.
That's correct.
We were there many, many moons ago, and the two of us were actually together?
So we were Purina student reps or Purina ambassadors. Actually, I was the one that I was Callie's predecessor. And
So he's older.
I am.
Okay, he's older.
Let's establish that
okay,
now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
class
so
ahead.
we wanted to bring on more student reps, and Callie applied for the job. She and a young guy named Stevie Jones, and Stevie and Callie both were hired, and it's full circle how Callie and I have actually transformed into something totally different.
Yes.
Callie took the road to stay with Purina, which was really smart.
Very smart. Best job in the world. Yes.
It was really smart. But honestly, Purina afforded us both opportunities to broaden our horizons as far as becoming veterinarians. I built relationships through Purina that helped me do an internship and build relationships. And now here we are back at Westminster Kennel Club, and now I'm the resident veterinarian. So
Resident veterinarian. What does a resident veterinarian do for the Westminster Kennel Club?
it's really funny. I'm the first.
Okay.
So with some of those things,
So
we're
TBD?
Yeah, you're going to get to decide.
so some of those things are still to be decided, like we just talked about. But one of the things is making the veterinary community aware of what we do here at the at the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. Not the veterinary community, but the public aware of what we do at this dog show. Also educating the public about various breeds, about various diseases. And then if there is an animal emergency, I'm one of those guys, I'm walking around making sure everybody's okay. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer those questions. So right now, that's part of my charge and me staying abreast of any new and emerging diseases that may come about.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's such an opportunity for both you and the public to learn a lot more. People are really interested in their pets nowadays, right? They're very invested in their lives, so that kind of information is invaluable.
And they're not pets anymore; they're family members.
That's right.
They became family members when we start providing them with insurance.
There you go.
That's how we know.
What's also interesting, sitting with the first resident veterinarian of the Westminster Kennel Club is also just understanding that many of our pet parents, our clients back at home where we practice, they look at a dog show as something that is completely unobtainable. Yeah. This is a world that they don't have access to, that they don't really understand how pets even get here into the show ring and become champions. And what I always like to remind people is that these amazing athletes that you're going to see in the ring, they're people's pets, right? They're people's pets. Foremost, and, that there are definitely some key ingredients that, is going to be required for them to show up and compete. But at the end of the day, they're just somebody's dog that's well loved and, has been given, a great life. So I think that's really important for us to elevate that information and that messaging too.
Yeah. And, we probably have a lot of people listening right now being like, my dog's got what it takes. So
let's do it.
Any tips on, let's say I've got, an active border collie and I'm starting them on agility training.
Good luck.
Yes. I don't. I live in a condo. I would never be able to have a border collie. But, what sort of things should we be focused on from like a nutrition standpoint? Human athletes are always talking about like a Tom Brady and his diet and things like that.
Yes.
What can we do for our
so much
canine athletes?
So much. I mean, when I always think about like the key ingredients to a Westminster or any type of dog champion, it's going to be three things. It's going to be genetics, right? Border Collie, German Shepherd, whatever genetics are involved in that particular dog. Training, wouldn't you say, is super important, right? Because these dogs, to get out there and feel comfortable under the bright lights and engaged with so many people, there has to be training that's involved. But then nutrition, it's at the center of everything that we do as veterinarians.
Yeah, that's correct.
What nutrition does, it's fueling them from the inside. Is going to help them look their best on the outside, right?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And, one last thing that I would probably add to that is if you ask the question about what does my dog have what it takes, and I would say find a mentor in that breed that's showing that breed to show you what to look for in that breed. Oftentimes we find that mentor after we acquire the breed, but I would also say find that mentor before you acquire the breed so that you find the right pet if you decide, hey, I want to compete in these in various formats. And Callie hit on something really important, nutrition, and it's one of those things. The saying says, "You are what you eat."
Yeah, and I'm a dozen donuts.
Well, and I'm a bagel. We are in New York, so I'm a bagel right now. It's all good.
Yeah, I guess I would be French toast because that's what I had.
Yum! We had good breakfast this morning.
But and I talk to my clients about this because nutrition, you are what you eat, but most of your immunity comes from your gut.
Yes.
So when it comes to you being healthy, your gut is responsible for you being healthy, and what better way than having quality nutrition go in your gut?
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
So really important. And I have competed with dogs personally on field trials, and my dogs have to have endurance. And I will say that, and people will say, hey, this is, whatever XYZ Purina Pro Plan sponsors this, but I've seen the results.
That's right.
I was once that guy that was almost to the winner's circle.
Yeah.
From feeding product XYZ. Okay. And then when I learned about nutrition in veterinary school and started working for a great company, okay, then I became that guy in their winner circle, and it was like my competitors were like, boy, those dogs are on fire. You better be ready when you go against him. So, I mean, I saw the difference. I'm not a big breeder. But when I showed up to competitions, I showed with 5 dogs, and at any given time, all 5 of those dogs would be in the winter series.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was just one of those things.
You're amongst, really the giants of this. When we think about to even just Westminster, 96 out of 100, champions are, Purina Pro Plan fed. The stats are there. We're hoping to take on another win, right?
Yeah.
And then even from like a vet's perspective, when we're thinking identifying like the right high quality nutrients, you want there to be tons of energy for these pets, whether they're doing field trials, or they're in conformation, which is what Westminster is, where they're just showing, breed standard characteristics and quality. I love what you talked about with the gut and how that's all connected, right? And so I know a lot of my clients are pet parents. They're really big on finding that information on how do we feed the gut beyond just the nutrition, also supplements. Purina specifically has a great line of supplements that really helps target that. So lots of good information. Talk to your local veterinarian.
Yes. Don't get your answers from Chris.
And I'll say this too. When my clients come into my practice, they ask me, why do you recommend this product? And my answer is simple, because it has a money back guarantee. And I know the results of this product personally. And when you look at that bag, on the side of that bag from a company like Purina Pro Plan, they actually have a phone number. And that phone number is actually going to allow you to speak to a veterinary nutritionist about your concerns for your pet. So when you have a product like that and a company that's willing to stand behind a product like that, why wouldn't you feed that?
Right.
And a lot of what I call designer breeds of dog foods, they don't do those things. They just they manufacture, they don't do any research. And I like companies that provide me with research to support their claims. If you're in medicine, if there's no research to support the claims, how do you know it's going to work? And I can make the best diagnoses and make the best recommendation for my patients from the research.
Yeah.
So, and that's just making an educated decision.
And speaking of diagnoses and research, big hot topic right now is avian flu. A lot of people you get the flu vaccine and I'm protected, but a lot of people are worried about their pets. So while I have 2 of the smartest veterinarians I know in the room.
No pressure. Yeah.
What advice can you give to pet parents who may want to protect their pet this flu season?
So avian influenza, it's called highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI. I think that's a term that's being used right now. We're seeing it it's in your migratory birds, mainly like waterfowl. In an area where, like I live, where there's a fly zone for when birds migrate to Mexico, we will probably see this influenza. We hope not, but we probably could see it. So what does that look like? If your dog or your cat are outside and you start seeing dead birds, don't allow your dog or your cat to consume those dead birds. If you see a bird that's in the wild and it's showing neurologic signs, then don't allow your dog or your cat to take advantage of that wild bird. You may even want to contact one of your local wildlife and fisheries agents so that animal can be harvested and brought in for testing. But right now, it's pretty much the consumption of those wild birds that by a dog or cat. One of the things I was reading was some of the dairies have a concern because of the cats drinking the unpasteurized milk. And people are like, why are cats at a dairy? Well, when you have a dairy, you have a lot of feed. When you have a lot of feed, you have a lot of rats. So a lot of these dairies will have cats to help control that mouse population. But all that to say, if you see a bird showing respiratory or neurologic signs, I would definitely contact your local wildlife and fisheries or your local animal controlled so that bird can actually be tested. And that's one of the best ways to prevent diseases like this is being proactive instead of reactive.
And I'm sharing, I think, Dr. Diggs broke that down beautifully. And I'm sharing with my pet parents too that right now there's a reason to be concerned. And so stay close to the information, stay close to the partnership that you have with your veterinarian. And right now there's a lot of thoughts and concerns that this information is not being disseminated out, but behind closed doors, the work is still being done. And so I don't want, our communities to fear. Just stay informed, and as things start to change, we're going to let you know.
Right, and it's not something that's, everyone thinks it's not like it's really humans are getting it right now.
Right.
So it's a low threat right now, but we have to stay abreast. Like I said, we want to be proactive instead of reactive.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have a game plan. You don't want to play the game and not have a game plan.
And I think that's what makes pet parents feel better. I think there's this idea of like helplessness because especially with an animal, they can't communicate well with you. Like, I'm not feeling well, this, that, or another. A lot of pet parents get anxiety, so they know, hey, if you have that partnership with a good vet,
that's right.
Someone to talk to, they're there to alleviate that anxiety.
We're staying on top of it. Veterinarians, we are talking about it in our inner circles, our outer circles within our practices. So we're staying, connected on all of this information.
That's great to hear. Well, we're coming up on time, but before I let you guys go, I want to know what's next for y'all. Any other work that you're working on? Any nonprofits that you want to promote, make people aware of? I want to give you guys an open floor here.
So I think, what I enjoy doing the most is mentorship.
Sure.
And I absolutely, I would say I'm very targeted about mentoring to communities that are underserved, marginalized, that may not have access to information. And so a big pillar of mine is just really trying to raise visibility to this career that I do, that I've been blessed, so fortunate to be a veterinarian, so fortunate to go to a school like Tuskegee University. So my goal is just to try to raise the roof on the information and access to information on education and what you can do if you want to pursue a job in pet care, animal care, vet care. As far as organizations that I am working with, I love Vet Set Go. Vet Set Go is a fabulous partnership that I've had in the past with just mentoring opportunities. When I think about also servicing communities that are more marginalized or underrepresented. One of my favorite groups is out of Atlanta, ATL, the ATL Dog Mom Social Club. Look them up. They're fantastic. So that's who I would love, folks to get a little bit more insight into.
Awesome.
One of the things I like to start off with is, mentorship is key. We have to embrace the next generation. When I walk around this building and I'm really fortunate because I was once that kid that watched the Westminster Dog Show on TV. So I love talking to the people, but I love talking to the children and the junior handlers more. Because and I target them because I want them to feel like they're somebody. When they see me on the screen or whatever, I'm receiving an award, they're like, hey, that guy came and spoke to me. So I'm really instrumental in working with the junior handlers. I'd also like to say that, the veterinary career is really broad.
Right.
It goes far beyond what you see Callie.
Look at you. Look at me. And this is just two of however many, right?
And honestly, I tell people veterinarians are people of average intelligence with hard work ethics, with crazy hard work ethics.
We're a little crazy too. Crazy hard work and also crazy.
A little bit more crazy than hard working. But it's just one of those things where, don't look at what I do or Callie do. This profession is very multifaceted.
That's right.
So there are so many things that are here that you don't even know about, like governmental medicine,
industry.
So it goes far and beyond what we do. Visibility in the community. I live in New Orleans area, and a lot of folks there, unfortunately, didn't know how to take care of themselves. So when I started working with the local animal shelter, I was working with animal control officers, educating them on how to really decipher a situation. If you went to an environment and the person's not well taken care of, there's a good chance that their pet won't be well taken care of. So I started trying to build that bridge because there was a wall being built, and I was trying to take that wall down. So education of both animal control officers and the community were really important to me. And I was really fortunate to partner with a group of ladies from New Orleans, the Goldring family, Ms. Jean and Lizzie Goldring. And with the Interpup of New Orleans, we created an educational system in the school systems there where we started educating students about animal care. So now the students would go home and they can tell their parents on how to take care of the dogs if they had no idea. Hey, Mom, did you know we can't chain that dog out in the yard? Because that's
it's a great first start. Yeah, because people don't know.
You don't know, and then you go to the Walmart or your local, and they have chains in there, so it's like, oh, you can do that, and
it's all connected. It's so true.
So educating the children about what proper pet care looks like.
Right. So good.
Was really key. So I mean that was my soapbox, and I'm just that guy.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so
it's a good soapbox to have.
Well, you two are absolute pinnacles of your profession. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having us,
Dr. Diggs, Dr. Harris from the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Take care.
Yes, so cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Man, that was it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
I'm jealous. I gotta say, I'm jealous.
Next
2 years
year.
in a row, you get to go. Next year? Can I get a confirmation?
Yeah, for 150th, you're there. I will move heaven and earth. I will move Westminster to North Carolina.
Oh, that's
that I don't have that kind of power.
I want to come to New York. I want to come to New York.
I don't have that kind of power, but the weather was kind of terrible. I got to be honest. There's New York in the winter, disgusting place. I don't know why people consider it a winter destination, and I could say that because I'm from the area. But you, Chris, and you were in the beautiful Sunshine State for VMX.
I was.
Yeah, a lot of people. I think a lot of people listening don't even know what VMX is. So give them the rundown.
Yeah, sure. So VMX I think it stands for Veterinary Expo. VMX, Veterinary
Medical Expo, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. But it's the largest veterinary conference in the world, or at least in North America. So I'm just gonna say the world. Like I can't imagine there being a bigger
America's
show.
the world.
Veterinarians come from all over the world, literally, to speak, to learn. This is where they get their CE credits, and it is just I always learn so much, and it's just so fun to be surrounded by people who have dedicated their lives and their careers to learning how to improve veterinary medicine. So I had a lot of fun, met with a lot of folks, and I think we're going to show you one of my interviews with somebody you might recognize.
I've got a special treat for you guys today. A second-time guest, Dr. Tiffany Tepler from Chewy. Welcome, Dr. Tepler.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of people back for a second time.
That is awesome.
Yes, exactly. And we're here at VMX, which let's tell our pet parents at home what VMX is.
Yeah, so VMX is one of our large veterinary community continuing education, which we will call CE.
Yeah.
It's where we can learn all about anything and everything about veterinary medicine, how that impacts our pet parents and in our community.
Awesome. And tell us about your role at Chewy.
Yeah, so I am what we call a veterinary service manager.
Okay.
And so what that means is that I actually manage a team of veterinary professionals who work on our tele-triage or tele-advice service called Connect with a Vet.
Okay.
And what we do at Connect with a Vet is we offer completely free opportunities to talk with credentialed veterinary technicians and licensed veterinarians. Pet parents can ask any question they want. They can talk and have that interaction and actually get advice and next steps on what they need to do.
Let me make sure we heard that right. It's free.
Yep.
It is free. Talk with licensed veterinary technicians and veterinarians. Now, when you say talk, is this a chat service? Is it a phone service? Or
yeah, so it's a free chat service.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it available to any Chewy customer, or do you have to be a Chewy customer?
You have no obligation to be a Chewy customer. Okay. So you can chat with us. Basically the only information we ask you for is your general pet information and then an email address.
Right.
And a big reason we ask about your email is because after we chat with you, we want to make sure that we give you some resources from PetMD, which is one of our editorial groups that help us give you more information about next steps for your dog.
Right, okay. And this is not a replacement for a veterinary visit, or there's no diagnosis happening.
Right, no diagnosing, treating, or prescribing.
Yeah.
It's literally just, hey, my dog broke a toenail. the ER is really far away, or they're so busy. Do I need to go now?
Yes.
And so it kind of gives you that peace of mind.
Yeah, we actually had a question from one of our viewers just about that very topic recently. They wanted to know, like, how do I know when it's time to go see the vet? So this is a really great resource for pet parents.
Yeah, it's an excellent resource.
Now let's talk about what you're doing specifically here at the fair. You're educating vets. Tell us about what you're talking about.
So it's really great. So as a veterinarian who practices behavior and also offers proactive training advice, I'm here today to help the veterinary community kind of give some tips and tricks on how they can help their pet parents and their clients navigate their behavioral journey.
Okay, and what do we mean by behavioral journey?
Yeah, so behavior is a journey, right? Like, so if you think of it like when you go to a therapist, they're not just going to give you something and then magically you're cured.
Right.
Our job is to help you understand, give communication, and learn how to cope with some of the things that we're seeing, right? Create a partnership.
Okay.
Right? We can't control our pets, but we can help understand what they need. So not only do we help them, but we become better.
Okay. So, for example, if we have a dog at home that's anxious, are we giving pet parents tools to identify these behaviors or these symptoms early on?
Yeah. So here's a good example, right? So fear is normal, right? Every animal, every person, dog, cat, bird, fear is normal.
Yeah, it protects us.
Right. It's totally, absolutely normal. Anxiety isn't. Phobias are not, right? Anxiety is when something bad happens, you're already thinking and anticipating that bad thing's going to happen again.
Right.
So you get anxiety, right? And then you get that phobic behavior where you're just totally out of control. What we want to do as veterinary professionals is help pet parents recognize what fear looks like, so then we can start early. Let's start intervening now with behavioral modification and therapy, so we don't have an anxious dog.
Right.
Because once they're anxious, we all know that is such a tough journey for them. It damages the human-animal bond.
Right.
And we're doing all these things that maybe we can't fix.
Right.
But what we can fix is building that. What is fear? How do I recognize fear? What does that body language look like? And then help them understand how to communicate with their dog, so their dog has better tools on how to cope. Instead of, oh no, my dog now has thunderstorm anxiety, or separation anxiety. Now it's, my dog is fearful. This is what I can now do. Here are the people that can help me, and I can start having a better journey and a better partnership.
Right. And let me ask you this too. When, this is right along with what you're talking about. I think all too often we as pet parents don't see those early signs as distressing enough to talk to the vet about. Why is it so important that we do talk to our vets early about any fear or anxiety behaviors we're seeing in our pets?
Right. So here's a good example. In the veterinary behavior community, we talk a lot about like that exact thing. How do we recognize these signs? So we talk a lot about the aggression ladder. Right. So we as pet parents, just as like talking, not even as a vet, your dog is growling. And most people are like, I don't want my dog to growl, that's bad. But growling's actually a normal behavior.
It's communicating.
It's totally normal. But the bad thing is that growling is at the top of that ladder, which means that we as owners have missed all these other signs like yawning, Go and look at a video and you'll see these dogs displaying fear. And what are people doing? They're pushing them. They're holding that can in front of their face, and these dogs are very fearful. So now you have dogs that learn through trial and error that my normal signs aren't working. So then I start to learn, well, if I growl,
so they escalate.
Okay. And now when they get confronted with something that scares them, they don't do the normal fear signs. They go to the higher level ones. So as trainers now, we have to work backwards. Instead of helping vet parents recognize what normal signs of fear look like.
Okay. So we, as pet parents, need to do better about picking up what they're putting down.
That's right. Exactly.
Awesome. So do you often get inquiries through what is it called? Connect with a vet. Do you get a lot of behavior types of questions?
I mean, we know even as vet professionals that behavior is something that pet parents see at home. They're not thinking about, oh, my dog may have kidney disease. They're thinking, my dog is spinning in a circle. That's a behavior problem, right? And so even if you don't think about the triage side, even as veterinarians, what most pet parents see is behavior. Even if it could be medical, which a lot of times it is. And that's why we integrate veterinarians so quickly.
Yeah.
Because that spinning may not be behavior.
Right.
It could be something actually medical.
Sure.
So we see it across the entire industry. The problem is that we don't have a lot of preventative, right? Because most pet parents don't want to bother us.
Right.
We want you to bother us.
Right.
Please bother us because we want to do it sooner rather
Did you hear that? They want to be bothered. Your vet wants to be bothered about any concern you have about your pet's behavior.
That's right.
Well, Dr. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us again and for giving us these tools. And remember, connect with a vet.
Yeah.
You just go to Chewy.com and you can
Chewy.com and it's right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. And thank you for all that you've done to contribute to the veterinary community and to helping our pets live better lives.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great to see Dr. Tiffany again, and a bonus treat, I got to meet her little dog Monty.
Oh, yay.
Oh, what a doll. He's super cute.
The product of the week. All right, folks, it's time for the product of the week. And Kristen, hey, why don't you go ahead and kick it off with your product of the week for us?
I'd be happy to. So this is a very bougie product.
Okay.
It could be for small dogs or for cats. And it's called My Petite Puppy, although, like I said, it'll work for cats too. This woman in Palm Beach, Florida, she created this really cool chair for dogs. It says 10 pounds and under. It looks like it would hold a bigger dog than that, but that's what it says. This is a chair. It looks like an office chair. So it's got the wheels, and you can wheel it around so your dog can sit next to you at the desk. Your dog can sit next to you at the kitchen table. Your dog can sit next to you. I don't know, like this woman. I think this woman has separation anxiety from her dog. Yeah, the hair. Yeah, and it's pretty pricey. I think it was around $300 or something like that. But I don't know if you remember this, but I mentioned a similar product on the show about 6 months ago. It was for a place for your dog to sit next to you while you're working at your desk.
Yes, I remember that.
But
I
think what's cool about this one is it's on wheels, so you can just wheel it around the house so that you never have to be more than 12 inches from your dog. So I don't know, little strange, kind of bougie, but I could see some practical advantages to it. Certainly I would love to have Tulip sitting right here instead of 10 feet away from me. And I think it would also be great for, an older dog, maybe a dog post-op, situation where you got to keep a close eye on their movement. But anyway, check out My Petite Puppy for a very bougie dog seat.
That's very
or
fun.
Cat.
Very fun. Very, very fun.
What do you have for us this week?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about with, cats bringing the outdoors indoors or, the catios and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And if you're like me, building your own catio is out of the question. Okay. I could barely hit a nail flush. I could barely hang shelves. I'm not handy at all. So I found this company, WinPet. Link in the show notes as always, and they specialize in sort of outdoor equipment for pets. So they've got the bunny hutches and they've got the chicken coops, but they have, and this is kind of what inspired me. They say universal cage medium, and it's a pre-built cage, and you could very simply set this thing up near a window in your house and sort of cut a hole with pliers through the chicken wire of the cage and lead it out through a window. So all the hard work of the catio is done. It's already a pre-built structure, and you just sort of have to figure out how to connect it to your house. And that'll run you, it'll run you about $400 for that thing, but it's spacious. They've got it decorated and photoshopped on their page with like a nice cat tree and things like that.
Yeah.
So you could go ahead and, it's a good starter. If you're like me and you'd rather spend the money than DIY, which is totally my style, this is a great starter to get you going. And then you just figure out, what kind of cat door you're going to use. Are you going to connect it to a window? Are you going to do a cat door type thing? So it's getting you most of the way there, because I was thinking I currently live in a condo. A catio's out of the question, but you start looking at houses and you're thinking, family planning and thinking about your animals and stuff like that. And it'd be so cool to have one of those indoor outdoor catios, for a cat, because our area of the world is not safe for outdoor cats. A lot of traffic, a lot of highways, a lot of things like that, you know. But like it would be so cool to set something up for them. I'm like, man, I can't do that. I guess ain't got it in me. So I was all over the internet, you know, during an insomnia trip, and it's what I found. So I'm sharing it with you all, and I hope you enjoy.
I love it. It's a great idea.
Q&As.
All right, folks, it is time for my and possibly Kristen's, although Kristen really likes story time, but, you know, we're going to say both of ours, our favorite part of the show. That's right. We're going to answer 2 questions from our audience. And I know what you're thinking. How do I have my question answered by Chris and Kristen? Well, it's quite simple, folks. You're going to head on over to petsadlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of that page. You're going to see a form to submit your question. Or if you're feeling as brave as Chris, who confronted a New York winter to bring you excellent content from Westminster, you could submit a voice memo and you could hear your question played live on this very show. And Kristen, I think we're going to do things a little different this time.
Yeah, we are. We're mixing it up this show.
Yeah, we're mixing it up. We want to keep things fresh. So we got some questions here that are less animal related, less help me with my animal, and more personal. So we're going to share the questions. So I'll go ahead and read the first one, but we're both going to give answers to both these questions. So I'll read the first one here. Okay. And this one comes from Megan in Seattle. And Megan asks, Chris and Kristen, you spend so much time talking about other people's pets, unless you're Chris, who can't shut up about his cat. So I thought to ask about yours. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing your pets have ever done?
Ooh, good question. You want me? Should I go first?
Yeah, if you got it in your head.
Because I got something good. I wouldn't say it's one of those funny, not funny, because it wasn't a safe thing that Tulip did. So Tulip she's about 18 pounds. She's a Min Pin Chihuahua mix. So little petite girl. And we live in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina. And we always take her out on a leash just to be safe, because there's a lot of wildlife out here, including bears. So one day, I was out of town. My husband takes Tulip outside for a walk, and just for some reason, he didn't put the leash on her that day. He thought, just take her out real quick. Well, he's standing in the yard, looking at his phone or something, and he hears her barking, like there's a major emergency, like shrill barking. He turns around to see her chasing a black bear.
Oh my God, Tulip.
Maybe 50 yards away, chasing it. And so he, of course, drops his phone. He takes off after Tulip. And as he's running, he's thinking, why am I chasing a dog chasing a bear?
It's like some Scooby-Doo scene.
Yeah. Fortunately, Tulip stopped. And the bear kept going, and he scooped her up and got her back in the house. And then he, peered out the window to see if the bear came back. Well, it turns out this was a mama bear. So not just a bear, but a mama bear with 2 cubs that had climbed up into a tree just past our property, right past our property line. Wow. So she came back to get her baby bears out of the tree, and then they took off, up the mountain. But that was pretty scary.
Tulip punching above your weight.
She was. So from now on, Tulip is on a leash when we go outside.
Speaking of leashes, I was talking in products about bringing the outdoors indoors and stuff like that. Well, Tiger came into my life particularly late. Hope's always had the cat. It was Hope's childhood cat. But when Tiger moved into our new condo, I was thinking, well, Tiger was an outdoor cat when, we had grown up in upstate New York. So much safer there for cats to sort of prounce around in suburbia. So, yeah. So, and I was thinking like, man, this must suck to now be relegated completely indoors. So we had gotten Tiger a leash and a little harness. And we were so excited because we were like, oh, Tiger, you're finally going to get to go outside again and experience the outdoors. And we opened the back door. We carry her and we put her outside, holding on to the leash, just on the back patio. And she looks to the left. She looks to the right. Turns tail and just walks back inside.
No way.
Just not interested at all. And I was like, well, I don't feel bad about keeping her inside anymore. We've come to an agreement that we are an indoor cat now. And that's fine. It was very funny. Very funny behavior.
That's great. I thought you were going to say because that was her first time wearing a harness. I thought you were going to say she just kind of plopped down and wouldn't move.
No, she was good with the harness. She
Yeah?
let us put the harness on, and when she was inside, she reacted well to the leash. She didn't seem to mind, and she just. Honestly, like she'll look out the window every now and again, but sometimes when the weather's nice and we open the back door, she really just doesn't care. She doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. Old cat. She's comfortable where she is. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So we have another question from a listener. This is from Tom from Chicago. And I think we're both going to answer this one too, because it's not your typical question that we get. Tom says, I love hearing your stories about working in the pet industry. What's the most surprising thing you've learned about pets or pet owners since starting this podcast? Yeah. So I'll let you take this one first.
Yeah. I'll jump in first. So we never really talk about I always say my day job. We never really talk about my day job and what it is on this show.
What do you do, Chris?
Yeah, so I help organize Global Pet Expo. And I got that job when I was 22. So my first Global Pet Expo was the 2015 show. Okay. And I went into this show, as an animal lover like anybody else, but not really appreciating the minds behind it. And I had a pretty embarrassing moment where I was having a conversation with this gentleman who came from out of the country. I forget where specifically, but he had traveled, miles and miles and miles and miles to come to Global Pet Expo. And it was genuinely insightful for me. I'm asking him, this, that, and finally I was like, well, why are you here? What are you looking for? And he said, I'm looking for innovation in pee pads. And I laughed because that was the funniest sentence I have ever heard in my life. And he was being completely serious, and I had to, dismiss myself because, I couldn't contain it. So I suppose the answer to the question is that each product that you buy, everything that goes into your pet, comes from some person who is incredibly passionate about solving a specific problem. And when you get all those people together at a place like Global Pet Expo, it is mind-blowing about the amount of heart and brain and sweat, we'll say sweat, that goes into all of these things that you use and honestly we take for granted. And we try to highlight some of them on this show, but it continues to blow my mind how much people care beyond just, I love animals and I want to take care of them, but care about making it easier or more functional or whatever, solving these issues. It blows my mind every time.
Yeah. No, innovation that's a really great observation.
Innovation in pee pads.
Not funny.
People. Not funny. It's not funny. It's not
serious.
A joke.
Very
the
serious.
Pee pad business is serious stuff, okay?
I actually have some ideas about innovation for pee pads, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Well, sort of similar to your answer, one of the things I've learned about from all the different types of guests that we've had on the show over the past year is what we all have in common is a love and a passion for pets. But these people have found creative ways to use their talent, their skill set, their love for animals to create an amazing array of careers in the pet industry.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you're talking about Dr. Ross Henderson, who's a veterinarian, and he has this love for music. And so he writes songs about pets that are just so beautiful, to Dr., as you saw in the interview I did with Dr. Tiffany earlier, when she was growing up, she didn't first think about becoming a vet. She just wanted to help people. And that ultimately led her to a career in veterinary medicine. We've talked to a lot of pet healers, artists, and just a vast array of people who have taken that love and passion and turned it into a career. So I'm always impressed with the creativity and all the different ways people come up with to make pets part of their daily lives, not just at home, but also in the workplace.
Yeah, it's an awesome industry, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. Yeah, it's great.
Me too.
Yeah, and all of you listening are too. Believe it or not, just listening to this podcast, you're part of the fam now. Congrats.
That's
welcome.
Right.
But speaking of fam and family, we're done. That's it. Snow day. Lots of fun. A really great show as always. But fear not, people. We're going to be back next Tuesday as always. So until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to your animals, and we're going to see you in a week.
Yeah. Claws in, purrs out.